Okay guys, so for today's video, I'll be showing you the process of how I made my first dress. I have a headache, so if I seem off in this video, that is why. But I've been in the process of making this dress and making this video for months. So we're just trying to get it done now. Okay. So I'm sorry if I seem a little off, but my head is in great pain. Anyways, so I made my first dress, finally, and I'm making it for my cousin's wedding. I've never met this cousin, I've only heard stuff about her, so that's going to be interesting, but I like dressing up, so. Now, first thing I started with was actually finding the fabric I wanted to use, because I was just like walking in Joann's and there was just this beautiful fabric and I was just like, well, I have to have this, so I bought it without even knowing what I wanted to do with it, really. And so that's how I first started, and then I found out I would actually have an event to make a dress for, so I was like, well, now we gotta use it. And so I did. And so after that, the next thing I did was draw a sketch of what I'd want the dress to look like. So this isn't the sketch of the dress. There it is. So this is what I thought I want the dress to look like. You can see. Now, the reason I was thinking that is because the fabric I wanted to use looks like this. It's this cute bow fabric. I'm hoping the mic can hear me back there. And it's just really adorable. So, for the dress, I thought, well, let's use that because there's the little bow sleeves, right? And so this is what the dress is supposed to look like. The back was supposed to be a V-neck and a simple zipper. We'll get to the back in a minute. And so that's where I started, right? Drew a sketch. So the next part I did was I measured myself and made a plan for the pattern. So you know your camera will like switch things to the wrong side? That's what it's doing, so it's always hard because it's like a mirror. And so this is the dress measurements. And I touch in on lots of this in slightly more detail later in the video because I've already made like a few different videos throughout the process. Okay. And so I bought this white fabric for it. It's called muslin fabric. And you gotta specify because my mom called it by the wrong thing and I was like, that means something very different. And so this is the white fabric I used, and I made a practice garment. I made the top, and after I had sketched that, I made a pattern out of just like tissue paper, you know. And then I used that to actually make a practice top, and that helped me figure out, okay, where am I going wrong with this and all that stuff. And then later on, I was like, okay, I thought the skirt would just be pretty simple, and then I decided to make it more complicated. So I bought a whole pattern on Etsy for the skirt. The pattern's by, I believe, Lydia Naomi. It's a really nice pattern. It's like a circle skirt, I think, sort of thing. And it's really cute and adorable, and I love it. And it worked out great. Very easy instructions and all that. And it's also a digital pattern, so you don't have to wait for shipping times or anything. It's like a PDF pattern. It was really cool. So it was great. Long story short, then I got the skirt pattern and I made the skirt out of the practice fabric. So that was good. And so once I had figured that out, I was able to figure out where I needed to change measurements and stuff like that. I needed to make the skirt smaller. I needed to make the back bigger, things like that. The straps were just as I thought they would be. And once again, I'll touch on this later in the video. This is kind of like an overview of what you're going to see later. And so, after I'd figured all that out, it was time to actually start cutting the pretty fabric, the very nice fabric. So that was very scary. And basically that took a while because it took me months to, one, earn the, okay, it didn't take me months to earn the money, but it took me a while to get the money that I needed to pay for the fabric, and then it took me a while to find the right fabric for a little bit there. And then we'll get to the back scenario. So this is the lining fabric. It's really nice. You can't feel it, but I can, and it's nice and soft. It's like, it's great. I love it. So that's going to be very comfortable. And that's the lining. I got this lining for the top and the skirt, and I had enough fabric, so that was great. And then, like I showed you earlier, this was going to be part of the skirt. It's just this really pretty pastel colorful fabric. And so this is actually see-through, right? So underneath that fabric in the skirt would be this shiny fabric. This is a very pretty fabric. You can't see it on camera, but it kind of has, in real life, I don't know, in person, that's what I was thinking. In person, it kind of has this like texture, and you can see it. You can like see the texture. Do you know what I'm talking about? You can see texture sometimes, like these walls, you can see the texture. Not in the background, but when you're up close, you can see the texture of the walls, right? So fabrics is the same way, and I only point that out because of the top fabric. So the top is going to be made out of this pretty shiny ballerina fabric. That's what I've been calling it. And so they look the same on camera. I swear they are two different fabrics. This one does not have like that sort of textured thing that this one got going on. They're two different fabrics. They're two different fabrics, I promise. So this is the top. This is the bottom. And so I'll show you. That's gonna look like that, and it looks beautiful on. So once I got all the pretty fabrics for the dress, I was able to start working on the dress, obviously. So I cut so first things first, I cut out the top of the shiny fabric because I had that fabric first, and eventually I put together the whole top. I made the straps and all of that long process. The way I'm saying it doesn't make it sound long. It took hours. And so then I made the top, and we were trying it on, and I was like, I don't think it's big enough still. And I don't know how that happened, but I was like, this is weird. So the top didn't seem big enough, so instead of a zipper, and also I just didn't feel like dealing with putting in a zipper. So instead of a zipper, we used this ribbon. It's just this pink and gold ribbon. It's very pretty. I, once again, bought this from Joann's randomly just because it was so pretty. And so I just made these little loops. And so this is in the back of the dress. And that's how it ties up. And then I got these pretty little gold and pearl buttons that are shaped like bows. And I was like, well, that's cute. And so that went with the other ones. And so after that, I worked on the skirt. The skirt came out well. Some of the sizings of the pieces were mismatched. Obviously, that's not the maker of the pattern's fault. That was my fault for the way I cut it out. I don't know what I was doing, but I did something wrong. Somehow. And so after that, I eventually put the top to the bottom. Also, I tried on the top with the fancy fabric, and it was just, the V-neck was just a little too far down for me. So I used a piece of scraps from the rainbow fabric. And you see this kind of gray color around over here? Nope, that's purple. There's a gray on here somewhere. And I used it to just like cover up a bit. And so that's what's going on with the top, because it wasn't originally supposed to have that, but it does now, and it's really cute. And then once I added that, which was also a pain to add on using the machine, it was a pain to add that right here. like right here is where it needed to be. You see where my hand is? That's where the thing needed to be, but it's a V-neck. So it was very hard to add that after the fact. So then the next thing I did was added the top to the skirt. Then I hemmed the skirt, then added it to the top. Then hemmed it again because the hem was not correct. And then I added the buttons, which that was a whole adventure as well. I was originally going to add 4 buttons, but then my machine was being all whack. And then I tried it on with just 2 buttons, and it was fine with 2 buttons, so I just didn't worry about it. So now we've declared it done. But no, so that's the overall story of me making that dress. It was a long process, took months. It could have taken like a few weeks, honestly. But I had school and I'm a procrastinator. So, which is why I rarely upload. So anyways, that's how I made my first dress. Now you will get visuals. Oh, forgot my mouse. I have to take my mouse out in order to use the mic and the camera. Okay, so I've done a ton of work on this garment for my dress. So first things first, I measured myself in the mirror over there. And then I grabbed out some holiday tissue paper and decided to make a pattern for it, because I was told that's a good thing to do. And so since then, I've actually made one other garment. So I made one garment out of muslin. It's a kind of fabric you use to make practice garments before you actually cut into the good fabric. So I used this white fabric for that. But first, obviously, I had made these pattern pieces. So we have the first one, which is the front side, and you can't see it very well in this. We have this new garment. It's a little hard to see. This time I stitched the straps on. These are the straps I'm actually going to use. This is just some ribbon I have laying around. And this is some other ribbon. As you can see, this is what I did before I even cut or made any patterns. I made this. So you can pause and look at all my notes if you want to. This was all based on my original measurements, but later I remembered I have a dress that pretty much has the same points of where you need to stitch it, the same stitch points and measurements, so I decided to use that. It's just, you know, a little more of a V-neck instead of a square neckline. So here's this one. So on the body, okay guys, this is the muslin version of the dress.